If I could go back in time and scream one warning into the ear of my 25-year-old self, it wouldn't be about investments or politics. It would be this: that job doesn't love you back. Look at me now. 80 years old, my knees ache with every step, and the only thing I truly have to show for 40 years of sacrifice is a severance package that didn't even cover my initial surgery deductible. I prioritized quarterly reports over doctor's reports. I thought dedication meant being essential, but I was just a highly efficient component that could easily be replaced. I didn't just lose time, I lost my memory of the good times because I was always on call. I am going to share the 5 deepest regrets of my long life, and I beg you, take this wisdom now, before it's too late. The first great lie I bought was the promise of security. Decades ago, if you put in the years, the company was your family. I started at Monarch Industries right out of college, believing I'd earn that gold watch and retire a legend. I missed the shift, the moment they stopped seeing us as people and started seeing us as expenditures. I worked 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. I answered emails at 3 a.m. from my bed. Why? Because I was afraid the moment I stopped running, someone else would catch up. I convinced myself that my hustle proved my worth, but it only proved my availability. The sad irony is, the harder I worked, the more disposable I became. They knew I'd never complain about the burden because I was too desperate for their approval. My greatest, deepest regret, my first big one, is sacrificing my health. I ignored the headaches, the constant indigestion, and the rising blood pressure. I drank coffee until my hands shook and ate cheap takeout over my keyboard because I didn't have time for lunch. Health was something I planned to tackle in retirement. I imagined myself strolling beaches, finally relaxing. But the stress I bottled up in my 30s and 40s metastasized into chronic issues in my 60s. Now my retirement isn't filled with travel, it's filled with doctor appointments and medication timers. I bought decades of financial security at the cost of my physical ability to enjoy it. If I could give you one thing, it's this: that deadline is never worth the pain you will carry later. Regret number 2 involves Silas, my husband. We had plans. Oh, the plans we made. He wanted to restore an old sailboat and tour the New England coast. But I always said, just one more promotion, Silas. Just one more quarter. I remember him sitting silently at the kitchen table on a Tuesday night, reading a book, while I was glued to the phone negotiating a deal. I saw the disappointment in his eyes, but I justified it by saying I was building our future. But the future was always tomorrow, and tomorrow became never. Silas passed 8 years ago, and that sailboat sits rotting in a yard upstate. The money I earned can't buy back the evenings we spent physically close, but emotionally 1,000,000 miles apart. Those moments are gone forever. My third regret is the lost connection with my daughter, Myrtle. I missed her 5th grade spelling bee because I had a crucial board meeting. I missed her high school graduation rehearsal because I was flying across the country for a last-minute contract negotiation. When she needed comfort after her first heartbreak, I told her to talk to her father because I was on a deadline. When she was young, I promised her, "When I retire, we'll be inseparable." Now she's grown. She's kind and successful, but we don't share that effortless closeness. There's a formal distance there, built from years of me prioritizing a corporation over her fragile, fleeting childhood. The company never sent me a Mother's Day card, but my absence spoke volumes to my child. I was obsessed with being the smartest, the fastest, the most dependable person in the room. This leads to regret number 4. I never learned how to stop. When I finally reached the coveted senior vice president role in my early 50s, I should have relaxed, mentored others, or taken a long sabbatical. But my identity was so wrapped up in the title that I felt worthless without the constant pressure. I didn't cultivate hobbies. I didn't invest in friendships outside of work. My calendar dictated my life. So, when the company finally decided they needed a younger face to lead the digital transformation, they didn't just let me go. They erased me. I had nothing to fall back on because I had built no life outside those office walls. The memory of that day when I was fired at 65 is clearer than anything I did last week. It wasn't a party. It wasn't a celebration of decades of loyalty. It was a sterile 20-minute meeting with a human resources representative half my age and a man I had trained 20 years prior. They gave me a stack of papers and told me to clear my desk by the end of the day. 40 years of my intellect, my drive, my blood, sweat, and tears, reduced to a cardboard box of personal effects. That job, that institution that I sold my soul to, didn't recognize my worth. It recognized my cost. And when I became too costly, they threw me out like an old piece of furniture. That betrayal is regret number 5. Believing loyalty was a two-way street. For the first few months after that abrupt end, I felt completely untethered. Who was Agnes without her SVP title? I would wake up at 5 a.m., ready to race, and then realize I had nowhere to go. I realized how much time I had wasted worrying about things that didn't matter. I worried about the presentation format when I should have worried about spending a quiet Saturday morning with Silas. I worried about budget cuts when I should have worried about making sure Myrtle felt heard. When the job vanishes, the titles disappear, and the paychecks stop, all that remains is the true ledger of your life, the quality of your relationships. And my relationship ledger, frankly, was terribly unbalanced. It took years of therapy and quiet reflection, something I never allowed myself before, to reframe my thinking. I had chased temporary affirmation instead of permanent connection. The pats on the back from my CEO were fleeting dopamine hits, but the love of my family was the lasting inheritance I neglected. Do not let your fear of being poor dictate your present life so completely that you miss out on being rich in spirit. Being rich isn't about the size of your portfolio. It's about the abundance of quiet joy you collect. And you can only collect that joy if you are present for it. The true meaning of success, especially as I sit here at 80, is not the legacy you leave in a boardroom. It's the legacy you leave etched in the hearts of the people who knew you best. Did you make them feel loved? Were you there when they needed you? Did you prioritize their well-being over your next bonus? When I look back, those fleeting work achievements feel like dust, meaningless memos quickly overwritten. The memory of holding Silas's hand in the hospital, or the rare weekend I cooked with Myrtle, those are the only moments that truly glow in the dark of my memory. They required time, not money. And time, unlike money, is a non-renewable resource. So here is my final wisdom for you young hustlers, burning the candle at both ends. Stop confusing sacrifice with discipline. Discipline is intentional. Sacrifice is often just an excuse for avoiding harder, more important work. The work of vulnerability, connection, and self-care. Your value is not determined by how efficiently you can burn yourself out. Set boundaries. Log off. Go home early once a week. Take that vacation and truly unplug. Don't wait until the company forces you out to realize that your life belongs to you, not to a payroll system. Don't trade the priceless for the price tag. Your real career is being a human being, a partner, a parent, a friend. I lost 40 years chasing a version of success that was hollow. I am 80 now, and I can tell you truthfully, no one will stand over your grave and read out your corporate title. They will talk about the kindness you showed, the laughter you shared, and the memories you created. Don't let your epitaph be, "She always answered her email promptly." Please, use your time now. Close the laptop, hug your loved ones, and go outside. Build a life so rich in genuine connection that if the company fires you tomorrow, you still feel profoundly wealthy. That is the wisdom of an old woman who learned her lessons far too late.